kind of minutes, just not make the time. So I scheduled it at 8:30 because I mean you guys like to get here at 8:30, but we don't have anybody on the schedule coming up.
Okay.
So we're gonna do an open forum. Just whatever. Well, and all the council here, we can have them yeah, and I know that Miss Wayne is probably, she's got some medical stuff in her family, she might slip in there at some point. Yeah, yeah. We need to take a table.
Sorry, nothing. I bring them every year. Every year we come for care. I used to bake, but I don't have time to do
Hey, Judge,
Yes, ma'am.
do we need to start recording at 8:30 or wait?
Yes, ma'am, we'll gavel in at 8:30. Well, I guess we'll gavel in when we have a quorum. Yeah, but I mean, we'll wait for the rest of you guys. We gavel. I know Commissioner Hogan was in the parking lot, so I was trying. Yeah, there you go. That was my confusion on the council was first. How are you this morning, Philip?
Good, sir. How are you?
They're just good drivers. I am not. Yeah, it's funny, I just know it's happening. I haven't been on the same. School, but there's a bunch of people that live and that whole road's gonna be closed, so they're either gonna have to go all the way around to the country club or all the way around to 22 to get it all down. There's gonna be so much stuff. It's gonna be big, so it's yeah. I think I messed that up. I switched it, you know, the last one we had was at 9, and it was like confusing, so I was like, well, we'll just do it at 8:30. Well, the agenda is 8:30, and we don't know schedule until 9. The first one is 9. Yeah, I messed it up. I messed it up. Yeah. Yeah, but I put the same out.
Oh. Morning, sir.
That's my fault.
What's that? I think I can sort it from that.
Yeah, that's my fault.
That's no big deal.
Yeah, it's not good.
He'll slowly learn.
Maybe. Maybe.
How are you?
Recording in progress.
I didn't feel like it was that big a deal, so we'll get here. Alright, we are recording. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. It's a special meeting of the County Commissioners Court, 21st day of July, 8:39 a.m. in the Hill County Courthouse. We do have a forum, right? We are going to go ahead and move to open forum. I know we have one for open forum. That's right. Come on up, man. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Teal. I'm in Whitney. I'm here because it's tax season. And I have been taking reducing taxes very seriously for the last couple dozen years with active walking and testifying to the legislature and opposing bonds and fighting for lower taxes, not just within my own counties, but in helping a lot of other people around the state. I've been following the Eliminate Property Tax group very closely and watching their bills finally get filed, start getting more attention and tracked. And I'm hoping that eventually we can get that completely done. In the meantime, I am encouraging every taxing entity, including my own, I'll be voting no in Whitney, to prepare a bare bones budget as much as possible so that you can lower taxes as much as possible. And I know the biggest, hardest part of a lot of these budgets ends up being salaries, because you've got a lot of people who are very good workers, very much worth their weight in gold, but we're dealing with other people's money. And this is where I'm going to ask everybody to reduce salaries as much as possible. I know that a lot of times we're using salary comparisons with other counties, other regions, other states even, and unfortunately we're dealing with Hill County, with our people here in Hill County, and what they can and can't afford to bear. Unlike the free market, all of the money that the taxing entities are spending isn't coming from voluntary products and consumer services. We're dealing with money that is taken forcefully from other people around us. So if we can keep that at the forefront of every decision you're making, I would appreciate it. I think a lot of other people in Hill County would appreciate it. We're looking at the no new revenue rates, and when tax rates are lowered, but the tax bill is still raised. So on those notices, please look at that too. It's not enough to just lower the rate if the tax bill is higher. And that is always going to fall back on the taxing entity itself. No matter what the appraisals do, you guys are the ones that have control of the tax rate that you adopt. And I know you have to adopt a budget first. So starting here with the budget hearings, trying to get those numbers down as low as possible to support a lower rate. Other than that, I will stop for now. Thank you.
We appreciate you coming today. So, we're gonna go ahead and move on into our budget workshop. And we'll have it on the agenda. I scheduled the first one to start at 9, because, it was a scheduling mistake on my part. That'll be the constable. We are gonna try to work some people in, just like we have, just like Judge Lewis has in the past, where we're not just sitting here. We'll try to get through as many people as possible. If they're ready to go, I don't want to push anybody if they're not ready. Again, today, budget workshop, we'll be looking at the wants and needs that everybody is asking for. We don't have our revenues yet, they're not even supposed to be until July 31st, I believe.
Out 26, 30.
So, we don't even really know the back end of the equation yet. So, we're just looking, people are gonna tell us,
I'm not gonna be blind until that comes in.
correct. Yeah, it's gonna be blank, but we'll be able to hear what our electeds and appointed needs are, what their wants are, and we can start looking at those and discern.
For the last 10 years that I've been here, the tax rate has always been lower than every year.
Love to see that.
Yeah.
So I do know that the constables are here. Constable Neville, are you ready to go, or what do you got?
Already?
Already.
Yes.
Rolling. So this will be Constable Precinct 1. Should be in your tabs.
Good morning.
Oh, you said. Yeah.
I'm all good.
Good morning.
Looking at My training budget is only $500. You can't do much training for $500, so I'm asking for a $1,000 increase there to get us to 1,500.
When you get a hotel,
What's that?
you couldn't pay for a hotel.
I mean, I just went to a 2-day class and it was free training, which I try to go to all the free training I can. And, I mean, today, $500. I was gonna move my fuel from 6,500 to 7,000, just to be safe, because these fuel prices are up and down right now, so I'd rather be on the safe side and ask for a little more there. The biggest, need, and we really have to, we have a WatchGuard, camera system right now that has become, when it was WatchGuard, it was okay, you could get help with it, and, now it's become obsolete. AT&T bought it. You can't get them to, give you any kind of support at all, so it's no good to us. As a matter of fact, I've had to, just to be compliant, I've had to go out and buy a newbie or similar body camera on my own, just so we can get something to replace the WatchGuard system. And, we're looking at going with Axon, that's where the sheriff's office, everybody else is, but for our body cameras and in-car cameras. That's an increase of 5,531, 12 per year. That's just a necessity that we have to have, though. The other add-on is repairs. I had another $1,500 on there for my repairs. My truck's got almost 100,000 miles on it, so I just wanna have a little cushion there in case I need to work on it. And I've got a question, I'm not sure if this is the time, about our insurance and how damage or that money's there. I'd like to have over 150,000 before I even look at replacing my vehicle. Maybe that's something down the road for next year, but I've got the hail damage money. I don't want it to roll over into a general fund. I'd like to have it in a reserve or move it to my repair fund if possible, so I can use that money possibly for replacing my truck in the future.
What model is your truck?
2020.
So, in general, you can't roll funds. The only guys that get to roll funds are these guys here. But I don't see why we can take it into consideration going into the future, and if that money did come back to the general fund, that we would keep that money when it comes time to get a different truck trade or whatever it is. But I do agree with your assessment. I think at least 150,000 miles would be, that truck's still good for now.
Yeah, I don't want to replace it.
Maybe next year or something, yeah. Of course, it all depends on your paper, but too, right? You put $50,000 in your easy, depending on what happens, so.
Oh.
We keep an eye on it. Yeah. And then the telephone line, that was not really in control.
That one goes in hand with the Axon. We have to have a separate, phone line just for the cradle, to upload our videos and everything. It has to have a separate phone line, one that's just for that, and that's what that increase is there.
And then you have, there was a capital outlay, but around this current year, but you're not asking for that annual. It's the very last one.
I'll just keep it the same. I didn't adjust it at all.
precinct one constable? Was there a special project or?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'll look into that, Judge, 'cause that's my first one.
Yes, sir.
I'll look into it and see what I can find out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you're a little bit spent, so that's.
I'm not sure, I'll look into it.
Okay. All right.
I wondered, I don't know, I guess all the constables want to get their acts on at the same time, but we could certify the repairs that he did receive, because if he doesn't wanna replace the vehicle, those funds could be used to maybe purchase this Exxon.
For this year. Did you, how much was the vehicle?
About 9,000.
About that, oh yeah, you could purchase the Axon system this year for that.
Yeah.
And the Axon, and correct me if I'm wrong, are we statutorily, you guys are required to have body cameras now?
Yes.
Well, it just a liability.
Well, yeah, yeah. I'm just
Yeah,
pointing out,
statutorily for traffic stops.
I'm just pointing out my fucking mandate.
Well, when you, we go out with the county too.
Yeah,
put them on
no,
calls and-
you have to have them, it's just, the state mandated you to have them, and of course,
And you have,
didn't want to have them.
you have to have the in-car cameras also for traffic stops and that type of thing.
All right. Anything else?
I know it's not anything I can adjust on my budget or ask for. I would just like to ask that when y'all are looking at our raises this year, we're a little behind there as far as like a basic deputy out of the academy is making what we are. A lot of us have 30, 50, a lot of experience out there rolling around. I think it's a little more deserving of a basic deputy pay, and I'd like you to keep that in consideration when you're thinking about raises for us. Respectfully.
Well, we're here today to have a discussion.
Other than that, that's it.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Now we'll move us to Constable Gersh. He sent in his budget, he's out of town today, he has some prior commitments.
Judge, I've got something you wanted to say.
Okay, come on.
I guess he wanted to say, you typed it out. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is, again, this is from just to the, we want to thank you for your continued support. I only have a few changes in my current budget. Increases due to the Exxon Taser 7, dues and membership and training and mileage. Decrease would be removing radio line items continuing with radios and radio equipment being provided by the Hill County Radio Administrator. The current amount to be forwarded to that program. As the county grows, I would request the county judge and commissioners will keep in mind and consider the continued growth of the county. Future plans for this office include staffing and office growth. This should be your time.
Alright. So. I think, we're gonna see from each constable this Axon situation. I think we know that already. The, Constable Gersh already has Axon to a degree, the only thing he doesn't have is a taser. So if we approve the whole Axon for all the constables, he's wanting to be involved, but just receiving the taser, that's the only piece of equipment that's missing.
The other constables need
Everything, yes, sir. So his won't be quite as much as everybody else's, because he's already paying for a portion of the budget. So, let's see here. And then he said the $1,000 the Axon was approved, that's what he's asking for there. There's not really anything else. He asked me to take a look at it earlier, we Miss Lincoln, can we work you in now if you're ready? I know you were trying.
No, it's not.
You have a
Good morning, how are y'all this morning? Is y'all's favorite time of year?
You know it.
I'm gonna try to make it as painless as possible as far as juvenile probation department is concerned. I did provide you guys with a booklet that really shows everything that, our funding is going towards. For our budget request and summary, I just wanted to highlight a few things for you guys. Hill County Juvenile is the smallest county in the state that operates through discretionary programs, which is our JJP, our drug court, and our truancy prevention program. And so, we are very unique in what we do. We are very much more like a small to large county in the programs that we offer. And so just wanted to highlight it for you guys. Specifically on the second page is the Hill County Fund budget request. And you'll see on there, the largest increase that we're requesting is solely for the detention beds. I did not ask for an increase for salaries. I did not ask for an increase for operating expenses. We do know that the 2 prepaid beds that we have in Denton County are going to be $250 per day. And so that is an increase from $225 a day. And so that is where that request is actually coming from. So that is the only request that I have, is just to keep maintaining those 2 prepaid beds that we have in Denton County.
Did last year they just charged us when we used them?
They did.
And they charged us for every day?
Yeah, actually this year we just used them a lot more. And so, last year we only, I think our total was about 68,000. So I actually requested less last year for those beds. This year, if you actually turn to the very last page of the folder, you'll see what we have spent so far this year in detention, which is $96,895. And we still have about a month to go. So, we have expended a lot more of that funds than we did last year. So, we do see that as a continual request. But yes, last year I requested less in that line item specifically because we had not used all of those dollars.
So it's 500 times 365 days?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a significant cost. But I can tell you from a law enforcement perspective, we have some of my law enforcement partners in the room. We are definitely needing those beds. Again, just to highlight that back page of that spreadsheet, you'll see just the level of offenses that we are retaining on. Possession of controlled substance, assault public servant, sexual assault. These are not offenses that are just a simple theft at Walmart. These are those really significant offenses. And so we just want to provide you with that information as well. From a state perspective, we actually did get a small increase, which was really nice. We got about a $3,000 increase in our salary and fringe that the legislative body did for us the last legislative session, and then another about $3,000. So I really, again, tried to really hone it down where my biggest request is my operating expenses to then those 2 detention beds as well. I did also want to highlight, I did put in there for you guys just some information so that you have information, especially if you're asked out in the community what all of our dollars are going towards. It provides you just the background information for our JJP program, our truancy prevention program, and our drug court program as well. So I know I throw a lot of stuff at you guys, but I want you guys to have all the information that you need in case you're asked from your constituents as well. Because y'all are a big supporter of our budget. Any questions, anything I can answer for you guys?
Are you concerned?
I try really hard. I do want to share, Judge, if you don't mind, if you have just a moment. We did actually, we've been in our building that we've been in the juvenile probation office for about 20 years. It's an old modular building. Mr. Crumpton got to see it not too long ago. It's not pretty, but we've made do for quite some time in that building. I actually got state dollars we have the entire building repainted. We actually had the whole flooring completely replaced. It did not cost Hill County a penny. It did not cost anything out of my budget. It was funds that were available within our region. And so, even though our department's not super pretty, we are doing some upgrades over there, but those upgrades that we have done did not cost the county any dollars. And the ones that we do have will be from my budget internally, so we're just getting new signage and things like that, just to kind of mirror the rest of the county, so.
And the upgrades, from what I've been told that have done, it's still a 20-year-old monument building. So there has to be plans in the future for them. We don't know what those look like just yet, but they did some paint and some big flooring, and just to try to make it workable.
Absolutely.
Structurally, it's gonna have,
Yeah,
it's gotta get short of at some point.
it's a modular building.
In the summertime, it gets really hot in there because, and we have ACs go out regularly and, but here's the thing, I'm not one to complain. When I first started, I was over on Elm Street in a little, building that had little cubicles and, so we have always made do with what we have. We do know that it's in the future gonna be a need that we have because we are gonna continue to grow. But we're making do with what we have until the time comes that we have the opportunity to have a new building.
For your cases coming from building more than they have been in the past, or you get more of them?
It's pretty consistent. We are not having like an incredible influx, but we have very consistent referrals. We're not declining in any capacity. All of our programs that we're serving continues to increase. So it's variable, be based on per year. During the summertime, things are a little bit more quiet, but as soon as school starts, we know we're going to get super busy again.
One of those listed on here is pretty severe.
Yeah, no, we've had some really significant offenses that have occurred, and this year, and unfortunately, this is what we're seeing, and here's, this snapshot is just those that we put in detention. So I do want to highlight that too, that even though, we do have a lot more than these are just the ones we detained. This does not include any of those class A misdemeanors, class B misdemeanors that we never even looked at detention for. So, we stay really consistently busy. Our caseloads are always busy. The kids have a lot of mental health needs. So, my department is not one of those that is just sitting there waiting for business. Unfortunately, we get lots of it.
Yeah, if you look at the list of those offenses, they're pretty serious criminal offenses for adults. So that's pretty good. And there's,
The structure itself is still good, just needs to do some cosmetic work inside.
Yeah, the structure has been fine. I mean, the floors creak a lot. They did have to replace a few of the floor areas, I think, when they were doing the building. But, again, we're gonna wait until the time comes that we know that the county has the ability to build. We know that's been coming for quite some time, but, my staff, we're grateful for what we have. And especially since the new upgrades, like, it really looks a lot better, a lot more professional. So it's a nice change. Especially that it didn't cost the county money, so that's always a plus.
for sure. Well, we have,
$190,000 that it's gonna cost to rent a deal, that's not funded by the state.
No.
So I would say that's,
no, we,
that's another,
and then
we pay for it.
the juvenile board, we were talking, we had a meeting the other day, and, it looks like the state is moving more towards a model of you need to address these issues within your own. Meaning they're not gonna give us beds, they're not gonna give us services, and, again, that means our taxpayers are gonna have to bear the brunt of those costs, and, we have seen from the behavioral health network, some good work from them lately.
Amazing partnership.
And the juvenile front, and that doesn't cost us.
I only pay a small portion for parenting because they cannot bill for that, but that comes out of my state dollars.
So, we have been getting some mental health resources for juveniles, which I think is on track for what we need to do, not just throw them away. But it is, the state is narrowing it down to, you're gonna have to handle these problems, we're not going to help. It is a trend.
It is, yeah, the kind of mindset is these are your kids, so y'all should be paying for them. But I mean, again, if you guys look at my whole budget from the state perspective, they are funding Hill County well. That's based on referrals, that's based on our population. And so we would like literally beg for money. I do feel like the state, even though those kids are needing to be closer to home, They are trying to support that the best that they can with regionalization. That's one of the big things that they have pushed out. Last year, or this year alone, we've only had 2 commitments to TJJD. Most of the kids that we place them are through regionalization dollars. And so, again, that's not a county expense, that's still a state expense. But they do kind of have this mindset of, these are our kids and we need to take care of them. But I feel like they do support us pretty well here in North County too. But we do a lot of programming, and I think that's what makes us a little bit different.
They go out of their way there. All right. Any questions for this one? Thank you, ma'am. Constable Precinct 3.
Morning. I did go over the camera stuff. It's gonna be covered.
Do we have any questions on the Axon system? I think we've
The only
covered that.
difference is gonna be, mine's gonna be twice as much as anybody else.
Because you have a deputy constable. Yeah. That makes sense.
We'll do away with that. Okay, the biggest thing I'm asking for is for the truck to replace the 2018 with the money we got from the insurance, money from trading in on the 2018. We can get a brand new 2025 Ford pickup for like $16,000. And that price is not going to change if we have to pay full price next year. It'd be a lot more. But the Dodge has got 150,000 miles on it. It's going to start taking diamonds to death pretty soon anyway. Some of these, it's not the roads that we travel on. All the roads in our precincts are good roads. It's the driveways we have to go down. They don't comply with what y'all have to. So I went through one the other day that I scraped the rear end up getting out of the mud. So it's the first time I've used my four-wheel drive in a long time. I got down to the low four-wheel drive on it. And again, that was in the driveway, not a road. But we need to replace that truck pretty soon anyway, so this would be a prime time to do it. Then I got,
The tariffs will probably raise the price of that.
do
The
what?
tariffs are gonna start, when they are.
I'm sure they are, they're raising everything else.
So, Ms. Susan, we spoke, or we emailed about this truck.
And look that up, what the total price was, before trade-in.
Do what?
What was the total purchase price before trade-in?
Before trading,
Yes.
did they need to look into it?
You didn't have the total price for the cost of the vehicle.
I may have that.
I got it right here, it was 46, that's extra trade-in. The total price is $50,350 plus another $1,100 for tent and recover the GPS, so it's about $52,000. And they were gonna allow, $8,000 trade. The problem is the new bid limit doesn't go into effect till September 1. If this vehicle is, if it's on the buy board, we could purchase it now, or if it's not on the buy board, we could, solicit bids and hopefully get that one or one close to it. I don't know who supplied this bid for you. This
Was
is
it
Hillsborough
Hillsborough?
Ford. But, if Kyle's not gonna use his money, we know he had money, if he's not gonna use it, we might could pull his money, to help pay this year. I don't know, the extra constable car, do we wanna,
I think they wanted to keep that.
you wanna keep that? Okay.
So we use that in a lot of versus the shop or something.
Yes.
I mean, we might could work it around to get it this year, we would just have to, you know, either solicit the bid, I guess, just so it, you know, put ads in the newspaper,
Okay.
has to be out for 2 weeks before we take action.
If we trade in, is that, doesn't go with the, over 50,000?
No, that doesn't, that's irrelevant,
It's the total value.
yes.
The one I had, I thought I had, did I give it to you?
Yes.
It's 46, comes out at 46, original bid.
With the trade.
No, that's before the trade.
No, that's actually the truth.
Oh, it's 46,904.
Well, I've got this, I don't know if you can see it on my phone, but that's what I got, but that includes taxes that we're not gonna pay. So we have to look at the price before the trade-in.
Oh, okay.
Or, you know, if we don't do that, maybe we could use the insurance money to pay, it just Exxon taking care of this year, you know.
Yeah, it was 50,350, and then the trade knocks off the 8. So it's over 50,000. But we can just.
But if not, we could use the money that he's received to get all the Exxons.
Right. That's true.
Well, that Dodge is pretty beat up too. Hell, it had $12,000.
Yes. I guess we can talk about the soliciting bids for that vehicle, if we want to do that, and then we can do that before the new year, so we don't basically come to buy a new truck next year. And that way.
Didn't you say we could buy it September 1st if we?
After September 1, we don't have to advertise for bids, but prior to September 1, I mean, you can still buy it, we just have to put it in the paper to request bids for
I
it.
think that's the same anyway.
Well, yeah, I just, like we was talking, if we can dodge tariffs, buy it sooner.
Yeah. That's what I'm looking at.
If we throw a couple ads in the papers in 2 weeks,
Be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's almost September by then.
Pretty close.
a few weeks, right after.
Maybe the price will go down.
Yeah, maybe. All right, anything else in the budget?
I wanted to try to get my clerk moved up to a clerk 3 position. She's been doing that job for the last 8 years. She serves all 4 of us, and sometimes we can be kind of cranky, I know how your commissioners are.
And she does serve each constable, she doesn't just one.
She doesn't just work for one person, she works for all 4. Actually, 5.
So how does she run up in your budget? How does she run up in your budget instead of spreading that?
He's over,
We have,
he's over her, we had to put her somewhere under one.
Okay,
So that's how he ended up with the deputy and the clerk.
so
That's
that
easy to think to remember.
was pro rata her, part of her funds, her salary come out of the other budgets to consolidate it. Just 9 years.
It's one of those, they have supervisor.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And so, the court thought it was wise to do later.
well, I was the only one with supervisor experience.
He's that whole cantankerous part of the
Yeah.
I heard I never was that way with the sheriff's office, I was always kind of friendly.
Huh.
I worked with you. Probably from the cool. You were a lot younger back then,
All right, any questions for the constable? Constable, anything else? All right. Well, then we'll move on. We appreciate you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Constable, four.
Good morning.
Is this? It's Lincoln's.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just sit there.
So the, first item that you see that I requested an increase was $100, and that's just for our dues and memberships that we're a part of, just because of the cost of things that going up. So I just needed $100 in there to increase that. We received an email from the treasurer's office through the auditor's office about an increase in our bonds and insurance. This is the first year since I've been in office that I think I've ever received this information that, I think it was kind of done on the backside previously. So we didn't get that information. It was kind of done with, I guess Susan done that for us in the past. Susan, and I haven't even talked to you about this, but just what I've done was put a $1,099 increase just based off the email that was sent for the rising costs, what I spent previously, and adding 10%, I believe is what the email suggested that we do. So I bumped the bonds and insurance up to a total of $2,000, which is a $1,099 increase. The next increase you'll see is for $447. That right there is for the cradle point that's part of the camera system that we've been talking about. So that's about a roughly average of $35 a month is what that come out to. And then the next item that I asked for an increase was in the security equipment. The $54.90, that includes the Axon that we've been talking about. Just because the watchguard that we had, they were purchased by Motorola, the support went away over a year ago. So we have non-functioning camera systems on our car. Philip and I had talked a lot about this, and what's nice about this system is it gets us on the same, all law enforcement on the same system countywide. So it makes it easier for them to support one system. So, along with that, on the money, the Tahoe that is assigned to my office that is a really old unit, but I've been able to maintain it, keep it in good shape, and use it as a backup. It received $4,941 in damage. Chose not to repair that. I was shocked that it didn't total the vehicle out because of age. But with the vehicle, I know that, but I can't tell you right off the top of my head. It's in pretty good shape. I mean, it got some damage to it, but the damage is, to me, not justifiable to fix because $49.41, if we sent that thing to auction, it probably would, and we use it periodically to people's vehicles in the shop for some type of repair. So it's kind of a cheap backup unit for us. Well, that money, what I'd like to do, however y'all think it would be best utilized, scale for the camera purchases, or if it's looking to purchase them outright. Because that number is over a 5-year period. And I think that's currently how the sheriff's office does all those, correct? Isn't it on the annual payment plan? So it doesn't cost us any more to do the payment plan, so I figure that's the best way. We got money sitting in the general fund on interest and break it down down on annual payments. But the 5490, that would, if we use that money for the insurance, that'd cover about 80% of the first year's cost, just on the camera system.
And that also could be done this year instead of encumbering that.
Is it possible to get that done this year? Do y'all have enough time to get those?
I mean, they're willing to take our money at any point in time on this stuff. Yeah,
But do we have to have it in the car before September, before October?
Well, at least in our position, it'd be good to have it in the car, October.
well, the only, trying to get it in the car by then may be tough just because of the outfitters situation, because, you know, you gotta. Oh, yeah, you know. But, you know, the sooner we're able to purchase it and get in line, because once October comes around, that line just really starts to get long, because, the outfitter that we currently use, uses Marshall stuff. Terry Hammer, he's out of Joshua, and, he's outfitted a lot of vehicles for us. He's really reasonable and does a great job. And he's close if there is any issues. So, I work with Terry at Burleson, and, he is also an Axon installer. So it makes it easy, we can take it to Joshua and his chair.
Yeah, they'll be telling us.
They're in the building process.
Yes, sir.
We could, you know, if there's a chance we could go ahead and say we're gonna do it this year and not budget for the Exxon next year, and then if at the end it doesn't work out, we have that ability to encumber the funds, so it just, it enables us to add it to next year's budget through the encumbrance process.
All right. Anything else?
Yes, sir. Well, so I guess the total increase that I asked for was 7136. So that covers all of that. And then y'all all have the Axon breakdown in there, so we're gonna tell you what the total cost is, the annual cost is to keep it functioning, so.
What is the annual cost? So if we just had to budget the annual cost for next year?
Let's see here, it's, 553112, to see that, one of the numbers that had tax on it. I think,
For annual,
let me get that. See. I think the entire cost, 27,655.
That's over 5 years.
Over a 5-year period. And the good thing with that too is this new equipment, as they come out with better stuff, then we get those. We get upgrades with that. So hopefully with doing something like this, we can stay ahead of the curve of technology. And Philip, if you guys be working out really well, tax on your upgrades and working good.
Absolutely.
So I just think that's the best way for us to go, you know, put everybody on the So, and as Constable Neville touched on our salaries, and we would be the best dead horse on this. I've talked to y'all about this in the past. I know we've had salary survey, and I don't know where that all stands because of funds. But one of the things that the survey has failed to do over the last 2 we've done is take into consideration really is what our constable's job is. And I don't think if you poll people, most of the people don't know what we do. All in all, our responsibilities, our duties. You know, we're the bearer of bad news wherever you go, we knock on. And, you know, we're pretty much a one-man show that does everything. And, you know, I'm soon at 34 years law enforcement. Larry's got like 50 Yellow's got 32, Gersh's got 20. And I think that speaks a lot for us, us doing the job and trying to keep us out of liability. There's so much, not just the sort of the paper, but the risk. That's what's so involved that we do. It takes so much time. You know, there's only 2 different offices that can go take somebody's property and set up a courthouse. That's the sheriff cost. And, you know, we have a lot of responsibility there when we do the research and do all this stuff. You know, was it last year before, levied on $4 million. And I've had several other levies for a lot less than that. There's a lot that goes into our job, and I don't think people really realize how much we do. Plus, we're running, right now, we're all sitting at close to 800 papers for all of us. You know, that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're one man show and we're making 2 or 3 attempts just to try to get these papers served and stay on top of them. And there's a lot more hours of taking care of this stuff than other people realize what we do. They don't always see us running around serving papers, but it's an important part of the process, and we're doing, you know, not just for the JPs, you know, we're doing every county paper. The one thing we don't have is the tax warrants and the tax sheriff's offices. Outside of that, we serve all the papers, plus all the out-of-county papers, out-of-state papers, all the attorney general papers. And if you look at where our pay scale is, we are the same pay as a one-year deputy in the sheriff's office. That's somebody that's coming in that don't know the difference between sitting and coming here. And I think our salary should be looked at to give us an appropriate salary based off of what we actually do. And I don't think the salary survey has done a very good job of looking at the true duties of the constable. And all the pilots, I mean, we follow the same federal and state filings as the sheriff does, or the chief of police. And we sit at the same training handouts. So I think there's just a lot more to it than people really realize. That's, appreciate that. Are there any questions on anything? Thank you all.
Thank you, Kevin.
Appreciate it. All right, so that brings us to the last one. We're gonna talk about emergency management budget and the sheriff. And we're checking with Ms. Cook to see if she's ready to present her budget as well. And I think Ms. Williams is gonna move a little bit later on this afternoon. So if we want, we'll take a couple minutes recess to go use the restroom. We'll see who's ready.
Yeah, everyone, get put together. We're celebrating this morning.
Recording stopped.
You're right.
Celebrating this morning. Get everything lined up and just take care of it. Cut cards.
So he did bring up a good point, is if you're wondering what county government is about, this is actually a really good introduction. It's written for 4-H kids, but even adults could get something from this. It's called The Keys to the Courthouse. It's designed for middle and high school students. And it's, let's just bring this up.
Where it hits the ground.
170 plus pages, leadership-oriented publication on county government, produced through a partnership between the Texas Association of Counties, County Judges and Commissioners Association of Texas, and the VG Young Institute. So It's through the AgriLife bookstore for only $10. It used to be online for free. Ah, dang it. Let me see if I can't find it.
You're going to work intersection or expansion here.
Yeah, we're gonna, that thing Cemetery Road, we're gonna work that approach.
Bethlehem's not.
Take it back. Yeah, I actually have this road.
Okay,
Right down from the center line side. We share it.
I got a report.
Okay.
1313.
Wasn't that cost me?
It's not no safety, nothing that you whoever murdered it. Whether that you should be on that, it was on there.
Oh.
Can I pass this out?
I'm sending you up for the older friend, he's on that thing.
He said he's taking time in the sheriff's.
He'll wait.
Or you come around the corner
For the community
to the
center.
community center, right from where the asphalt stops.
We pass around the next corner. They live there. He and his son, they walk across the field.
Okay.
He said, you move away, I'm on
Okay, I cannot find the PDF and I can't get that to load on this computer. But 4-H has this really good citizenship program. This is what I did with my kids when I was a 4-H club manager. We didn't do a lot of livestock. We did dogs and we did the stuff patriotism through preparedness, keys to the courthouse, Parley Pro, parliamentary procedure. Man, I need more Coke. So they've got a lot of different things. 4-H Day at the Capitol. They've got a little 4-H Congress, Commissioner of Court Interpretation Days. We did a lot of citizenship stuff. But it's just a really good, accessible program. Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is Texas Counties for You.org teachers. So, keys to the courthouse. Chapter 1, Framework and Function. It includes a lot of verbiage, definitions, everybody's roles, and then you go back to here and it has activities. Your basic fill in the blank stuff, notes and review. What's your county IQ? How much do you know? How much can you remember? Finding your research. Look up all of your people. That is, see more about them. County.org, county's video, yeah. County maps. If you haven't seen a commissioner's court map, Google that so you know where you are. And that's chapter 1. So then you get into chapter 2, services, justice process, elections and voting, and financing county government, which is where we are today. Property tax is the main source of revenue, an ad valorem tax. So this goes on to explain a little bit more other sources of income, how to shake the money tree, budgeting, using the money. So it's not like as thick as their notebooks that they have on the table explaining everybody's budgets, but it kind of runs at least a high schooler through a quick overview of how the process works and gives activities to explore more about the process. Notes, review. Chalkboard and newsprint to list fines and fees in the offices. Contact the local tax appraisal district to get the total of property taxes in the past year. Making pie charts. Use websites. Using the county budget, research the salaries of people in these offices. $200 in play money to represent county revenue. Department heads and commissioners meeting with their department or precinct personnel. So yeah, it's a neat little area. Let me see if I can't drop this in the link. Drop a link in the down in the comments.
Actually, that is that's 5 hours. Well, they got they pushed roller coaster. That's 5 hours. Yeah, that's one call.
Come on now, I know what somebody's down there.
Got Coke to go with it?
Yes, they
Yes,
are.
sugar
All
free
along.
back.
Oh, okay, this is no. Second. No, this is what
Alright. We're gonna go ahead and come back from
Recording
recess.
in progress.
It is 9:40, July 21st. Resume our budget workshop. So I've got Ms. Cook with indigent help. How are you this morning, ma'am?
Okay. So, pretty much everything on my actual budget is normal. Let's see what changes. Fees and memberships, I did ask to go up just slightly because they haven't gone up in years. I'm just anticipating that they're going to slightly. So I did ask for a small increase there. Training and mileage actually left the same. That one, there is currently still roughly about $2,000 left in that budget. If I go ahead and do the same conference I did last year out in BC, that would take up that $2,000. So, but I'm not doing that without y'all's blessing, of course. Let's see, contract services and everything, I did go up because it, was already at 24,881, so should be right at 25 by the end of the year. I'm thinking just slightly over that, so we went up to the 27. Inmate medical, I've asked to go up by 50,000 because I just don't anticipate that the jail population is going to shrink anytime soon. I mean, maybe, but I don't think so. Okay, so the big increase.
We do not need them in the second for that.
No, unfortunately, we do not. They tell me that for like ICE detainees and federal detainees that we can get reimbursements for everything, but there's also a ton of paperwork that goes into it. They have to be in our custody for X amount of time, and they rarely are. Usually the ICE detainees, it's like 48 hours when they're gone, so there's really nothing coming in for anything like that.
We did try to do some investigation of that when I was in the jail, about getting the ICE money. The law was passed, but the funding was never secured. So, yeah, so there was a lot of promises with that, but, as we looked into it with more detail, there was a lot of strings. And again, we had to detain them for a long period of time. And in general, if they're there just on an ICE hold, they will not be paid. The only ones that we really looked into, or I would like us to continue to, is if we have someone on an ICE hold that receives a great deal of medical attention. Then I think that we should get something from the government to pay for that, because we're holding them for ICE. They're not here for our crimes. They're here for the state.
Right. The next line, actual indigent medical. There is a big jump there. The reason that one is there is because of that big beautiful bill that went through on the federal level. That is cutting off a lot of people from Medicaid and then also impacting the rural hospitals. They're taking away a lot of funding from the rural hospitals. So while I can't guarantee how much it's going to impact my world, I anticipate that a lot of the people that are being kicked off Medicaid are going to come try and get on this services and everything. And it's also, since it is taking away funding from the hospitals and everything, they're already in dire straits. They can't take on that extra load, and I don't want the only county hospital that we have to close down just because they're drowning and we couldn't do anything. So I have asked for a large increase there.
I think they're expecting a lot of rural hospitals to close.
Yes, and I can tell you it's already increased the traffic for my world. Like normally I would say I'd get like 3 applicants a week. I approved 3 in one day the other day, and that's just unheard of. In the 5 years that I've done, I've never approved that many in one single day. So it's not going to get any better for sure.
So you're talking about that $1.2 billion that we get funded.
I'm thinking going up to the 275,000 mark just for the indigent medical, I think would help a lot. I don't know how much it's going to impact completely, but of course, you know, I mean, this is just a guess. I'm hoping that this would be enough to cover everything for the first year.
It's not gonna really matter if we find out what the tax is gonna be, because you get 8%,
Yes.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, we set aside the 8%, and then if there's money left over, we've been able to budget back to the other departments, road and bridge. That probably just means less that you're gonna get.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So,
We can always make wishes.
I did ask for a slight increase on supplies and postage both, just simply because of anticipating more foot traffic and more individuals are going to be prompting me to send out more mail and use more paper and such, so didn't want to be in the red there at the end of next year, so. Pretty much everything else is just the going rate, that it already was. I didn't increase, I think I increased the phone just slightly. I did, however, ask back there on, there was that new page added in, the proposed additions and deletions. A lot of the stuff that I do involves my personal cell phone. I don't want another cell phone, but I wouldn't mind if we could possibly do a cell phone allowance possibly, because all the doctors, all the hospitals, the clients themselves everybody calls my cell phone all the time, and it's all hours of the day and night. So if we could possibly put in a cell phone allowance in there, that would be incredible.
Miss Susan, we do, cell phone amounts for some JPs, is that correct?
Some of the precincts have them and.
So that's not.
Pay the code.
It's not much.
No, cause it's not supposed to pay your whole.
No, I think I asked, it ends up being like $50 a month or something is what I was asking for.
What did?
And that, it was just a guess.
$10.
Oh, okay.
But that's just for the 8 hours they're there. They didn't do it.
After.
They're not 24 hours.
Yeah, minus.
I think 50 is reasonable.
Alright, any questions for Ms. Good? Do you have anything else?
Good job.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am, and we appreciate your work.
You guys have a wonderful day.
Yes. Mr. Torres, are you ready? Mr. Torres, with the elections administration.
So there wasn't really much change on mine. The biggest addition was there was a quote that was turned in to us from a vendor when we were looking at getting a new checking system. So I know the biggest question here at the budget session really is, if that's something that you generally would like to budget in for the year, if that's something that you actually want to monitor.
Anyway, I'm lost. There we go.
What's on the actual budget line, so that's just 3% increase. Said on our actual budget lines for, there's a 3% increase that's been made. So, other than that, everything else staying about the same.
Okay, so this, quote that he received this quote after turning in his budget, and so it was attached or included in his budget at all. This is for 10X election desk modules quote, for the hardware, printers, cases, the software and training, shipping, it's $82,725. And can you explain to the commission what that is?
So that is essentially what we use to get all the voters checked in in our election. You guys generally know, that the checking system that we've had over the years has been giving us fits throughout the elections. It's pretty much at the end of its shelf life for us. We'll be lucky if we can make it just remember with this, if we I don't think it's so much as a security issue as just operational. It doesn't make it easy when we have to make sure we have, Wi-Fi going out to all of our earlier locations so that we can operate. Two of the earlier locations are county buildings, but we have Wi-Fi, so we can't do that.
Well, all processes that we have, needs to be slowed.
I agree 100%. I think this may be, I know I expressed my interest of our reserve and where it's standing right now. And this may be a good use of one-time funds to fix this problem and just.
And then the capital outlay is,
I believe so, that's correct. The capital outlay, one-time expense capital outlay is, did they include any financing terms in here?
How much I didn't hear the.
$83,725.
Well, I know there's a possible warranty on the back page for an additional 7 or 8.
With $7,500, there's a warranty option, yeah. I'd rather not pay interest on it if we don't have to, kind of would like to not pay extra. If we're just.
You hear about countywide voting, is this going to allow that and all of that? That's not gonna be.
As far as I know, the system should work as a countywide system. That was the direction we ended up moving to. I was under the impression that they were trying to do away with countywide.
Well, I've read about.
We've never gotten to that point.
I'm confused on whether they wanna do it or not.
I know there's a law that's supposed to go into effect where it goes essentially from early vote directly to election day, so there's like a gap between what I'm hearing. But as far as the countywide voting, that's something we haven't done. As close as we come to countywide voting is early voting, where everybody can go at any one of the 3 locations, you can check in at any one of the 3. On election day, it's strictly precinct by precinct, so your precinct, that's what you vote.
What system does this replace?
This would be replacing voting.
O2.
You're welcome, very close.
So what other systems do we pay annual maintenance on besides the O2?
Heart, our actual voting system, and I do believe the other would be, yes, I got it.
Oh, the text from
The website for information.
so if countywide voting was approved, would this accommodate that?
That's for 50 units. Because we did expand this go around how many.
I know last year, there was a problem at some of the vote like here, there was some backed up, people waiting so long. to
And that was
vote.
because we need more check-ins.
Hmm?
We need more check-ins.
Yeah.
I do believe they were running 2 after that happened, and that went smoother. But during the primary is when we would know what pieces of equipment we would need at least, I would say, certain locations of the 3 check-ins for the Republican side, and maybe 1 or 2 for the Democratic side. So that was one we had to run into. This past general election, we did send out more than enough check-ins to actually work the locations at the bigger locations that we expected higher turnout, and that actually worked out
Can you assess that need?
I feel like to get better voter turnout, the less waiting the voter has to do is probably super. In my opinion. Cause I don't know that it happens, but I would imagine if you filled up
Right
around your lunch
now,
break,
we
people
already
line
have,
up.
we have a total of 44 check-ins currently, and that's not nearly enough, especially if some of them go down.
We have 44 now, if they're all operating.
If they're all operation functional, we can make it work, but if any of them go down at any one time, that really hurts. Okay, I'd rather have an
So I don't think
abundance
it's
to go
something
than not
that
have it.
and other rooms.
Right. So, yeah. I would like you to look at 75. I'll get a quote for 75, and then we'll entertain the notion of doing a one-time expense out of capital outlay for this project.
I will reach back out to my contact, Mr. Hagan, and see if I can get one for you gentlemen.
We're even at 60, I mean, 44 now. 60 would be additional 16.
So there's 13 weeks there.
Yeah.
We have per polling place if you.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a Democrats and Republicans
They have-
vote together,
Yeah.
it just makes it have to force.
Right.
I mean, anybody can be checked in on, but yes, they do want to have their own respective status and see how it's working, so.
And then what, do we get to build a party for that?
I'm not sure on that, we
What's
actually.
your question?
On,
What do we get to build a party? There's a per piece of equipment or there's a charge. They're supposed to pay their own cost of running their election, the primaries.
it's to my knowledge that we had never actually charged for the check-in systems, it was only ever just for the voting systems. I don't recall if there is specification on how much we can charge for check-ins, I don't recall if there is anything we can charge.
Can you check into that?
Yeah, I can check into that for sure. If we had
Down
done it.
that past, we have a revenue coming in, right? I didn't see
I
that.
think I've only seen rental.
And it's only ever really rental, and they're only charged $5 per person of equipment.
Well, if it just says rental of equipment to run the election, I would assume that checking system is included in that.
I mean, that would
Because you
technically.
can't run your election without.
I mean, that would technically be almost when we were providing a paper copy, we never charged for the paper copy. That was just part of the actual voter registration list is what we're providing, and it's on the check.
On the tablet.
So, yeah, it's still something we have to provide them regardless, it's just we've upgraded to an electronic system now, so. I don't know if there is anything we charge on that, but I will look into that.
We chase rabbits. Anything else on your budget?
Nothing really was, changed out much, everything stayed relatively the same. Like I said, really the big thing with the check system that I was trying to get through,
And your contract services shows an increase.
That one was only because we had unexpected, a warranty that we had to pay out, unexpected, we get our service.
So you're gonna need that in there?
It was just in case something random popped up like that.
We have a bill right now for 27,000 that we're approving for court for the Verity. So is that an annual thing?
That was annual, I do believe.
And what is the Verity?
Hard disparity.
Oh, that's hard. So that's 27,000 annually. But then there are funds in the election machine rental, if we get some rentals, that can help cover some of these other costs.
trainings in the end of the year? Any training?
Like,
You just haven't, yeah, you haven't spent much out of your training.
That one is actually,
Okay, that's what, yeah. Usually that way. Yeah. All right, any other questions for Ms. Torres? No? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
you have a great day.
Marshall? I'll be the district church. District clerk. Yeah. I did, district church. District clerk.
District clerk, AKA data analyst for the state.
Essentially, chief abolished.
Are y'all there?
Yep.
Okay. So, of course, the massive portion of the district clerk's budget is for our clerks. Again, we serve as a clerk of the court for 4 courts. Most of my girls are cross-trained and have specialties. So, I have a criminal chief and a civil chief. And both are assigned to various things. Of course, they have to function as me when I'm not here, which is fairly rare. In any event, of course, cost of living is always the focus, and so in my budget, I proposed a 4% increase. That's, of course, going to be a pleasure of the court, but I wanted to see what the numbers would look like in doing that. I also agree that longevity is our one way to reward folks for their dedication to the code. And to that end, we have a longevity break. It's some kind of hierarchy of things, but I say simplify. And so I proposed a $200 flat rate for a year of service beginning in year 3. I have a couple of employees that have been here for 19, 15 years respectively. Both are critical to the success of our operation. And of course, with that longevity comes a higher expense. But I also have 3 new ones who are upwardly mobile and doing an amazing job. And so I think when you can't afford them, increases that are sustainable across multiple years on their salary increase, I think this longevity issue is a really great place to address it. I think it approaches it very conservatively, but it also rewards those who are dedicated to their craft in each of our individual offices. Really great. So with that, that's the massive portion of the district clerk's budget because I employ 8. On the downside of the budget, the only thing that's really that I propose changing, training and mileage, as you know, I don't know why it's gotten so expensive, but even our registration fees and code fire associations are off the radar. So I proposed a $1,000 increase to that travel line item. Of course, the district clerk is required by statute to obtain 20 hours of continuing education a year. So to that end, I also send my chiefs, and I'd like to start getting the younger ones to some of the integral training that's necessary. Much of this we can do remote by just staying here. Tyler is offering a lot of remote training where we can sign up for those webinars and do them local. They're expensive, but we don't have to travel, thankfully. And we've taken advantage of several of those. Both the IT department, Henry, who's our project manager for Odyssey, has set in on quite a few of those with us. So then to offset that $1,000, our decreased supplies, we're doing really good on minimizing our supply. And I'll speak to one issue related to supplies. We generate a ton of paper. And both the county judge, the district judge, and court law judge are all in agreement that we need to move toward an electronic environment with our case filings. So to that end, there's a lot of configuration stuff we're doing on e-file this
But I think that's a realistic goal in the next couple of years to go towards, where we're not filling in the paper. The other thing I would note, and I think everyone is feeling this across the budget, is, our insurance bonds, and those are statutorily required, so we just have to get them, and I think those are going up by 10%. Outside of that, the records management preservation and archive, those budgets, you know, we're billing every case to bring in funds to offset these budgets in records management preservation, and as you well know, all of our cases are down at the old LEC support services. And Nicole and I share a massive section of from sovereignty to modern day disposed are in order. I have a records management clerk that's dedicated to the organization of that facility. But it's also a good reminder that we can't keep making paper, we're gonna run out of space. And I don't think that brick and mortar air conditioning for this stuff is a good plan going forward. Just as our volume.
You have something in your future plans to digitize all that?
So technically, you know, statutorily for TSLAC, the archive, the Texas Commission on Records Retention, Archive, all the things. Every record from 1950 back to sovereignty is a permanent record, and we can't destroy the paper copy we have. Everything forward of that, as far as it's digitized, then we can destroy it at will or not make the record at all. If it, you know, if we have an electronic copy, then the paper copy isn't that important.
And that's from 1950.
1950 back to sovereignty, which is
You gotta keep all that, but going forward, you can digitize it.
exactly. And IT's done a great job. You know, they were at conversion in 2017. They were switching all the records to, what was that?
The software.
On base.
On-base.
Yes. We should remember it cost a fortune. In any event, when on base was turned off, they pushed all of our records to PDFs, and we have a rudimentary Excel spreadsheet solution that's cumbersome and difficult to maneuver in. So what it's prompted us to do, and that's part of what our records part-time clerks do, is if there's a case that we don't have in our modern day case management system, they scan it, the entire case into that, and create a historical case so that it doesn't affect our OC. That's been pretty successful, but you can imagine just the volume of cases that, you know, because there's such a gap from 1950 forward where we're supposed to get those electronic to 1993 when Ableton started. There's a lot of cases that aren't there. So, Philip was working with another company, Rachel helped me. Yeah, Papa. At first their bid was, I don't know, $20,000 or $30,000 to get all of those on-base cases indexed and into the system. And now they come with a bid that's really like $1,500, which is amazing because I can use records management budget to address those issues. So that's the nice thing is that all cases that are filed now, you know, going forward, pay for these records management expenses so that the taxpayers don't have to bear those expenses outside of the judiciary, which is really nice. But I think it's going forward, you know, the cost of electronics, we're paying, upwards of $200,000 a year in maintenance for our case management system. It's not just the case manager, it's also the jail manager, attorney manager, everything is electronic. So if you can get paper on, that takes a huge expense out of each one of our individual budgets. I mean, electronics and software is not cheap, but there are things we can do to offset the other side of this.
So your backlog is 9350.
Yes, and it's really, you know, over the years, they've, you know, spent records management to send, you know, 1,000 cases out, 2,000 cases out. But it's hit or miss. imagine for those open historical cases, if they're not in our immediate case management system, then it causes for research, and we send, that's what the part-time deputies do. They're spending an awful lot of time researching historical documents, trying to find them so that we can fulfill records requests. And the thing that's trended so much is, the Department of Public Safety charges, I don't know, $10, $15 for every criminal background record search. So these companies like CrimFacts that are doing criminal background checks for employers, they reach out to each county of clerks, all 254 of us, and ask, because it's cheaper to ask us than it is to ask DPS for criminal history in our local jurisdiction. And that's, I would say 75% of the questions getting are for criminal stuff. The Supreme Court hasn't really made a formal ruling on whether or not we can put criminal history out there. Our case portal, you can search criminal history, the documents are available. Of course, they want the judgment and the sentence. They want to see those documents. So, I've always erred on the side of caution. We have a responsibility to protect the privacy of our constituents. So, in doing so, we're very guarded about case information that we throw out. While it is public, I just think we have a responsibility to, because remember, in civil and family law, back in the day before it became electronic, attorneys were putting socials, birthdays, account information, VINs, all kinds of things that are confidential. And to this day, attorneys don't meet the mandate and file a redacted and unredacted copy when they e-file. That's just a fact. And it's incumbent upon courts to enforce the rule. You've got to file both, so that when we put, case documents forward-facing where people can search them, that those items that are considered confidential are protected. It also speaks to, this notion that there's a limit to what clerks can do. I mean, it's not our responsibility to redact documents. That's incumbent upon the attorneys that are filing the documents to do that. If we had to redact all the documents that were filed in our office, then I'd have to hire another army of clerks to just sit and redact. It's insane.
And if you take them out.
Yeah. So, are there challenges? Yeah, tons of them. The biggest thing right now that the legislature is focused on, typical cost for administration, is court performance measures. We did our first 6 months middle back in November, the annual report. So the judicial calendar runs from September 1st to August 31st. Our next annual submission will be 12 months of court performance will be due November 1st. There's some configuration that has to be done, and I just circled back around to start that process, and Henry will give us a big hand with that. But court reassignment is a big deal. So if a case is moving from the 66 to the court at law, it's a court jurisdiction change. Office of Court Administration and Legislature wants to know on those reassignments, and so we have to configure our case management to close the case in the district court and then open it in CCI, so that they're getting their proper, I'm doing this case and I'm not doing this case. That configuration is time consuming and cumbersome. It takes a lot of testing. So I feel like in my month of August will be focused on all of that court performance stuff. It's super important to judges too. The idea is that the legislature wants to see these cases from filing to disposition are moving at the pace that the Supreme Court requires as an administrator. That cases aren't just falling by the wayside and not being accounted for. Thankfully, in that first submission, all of our courts are 90% plus on court performance. And the measure says your case disposition needs to be 90%. So then we have the issue of all of the conversion cases that came over that had no OCA coding in them. So when a case is filed, it's an OCA, then a case opens. And if a warrant is issued or a citation is issued, those OCA events put the case in active because the court can't act until a take use is returned or a citation is returned. And then once those events happen, it turns the case back active. All of that coding has to be specific on a case in order for it to be reported correctly to OCA. So when we're working through all of those old conversion cases, especially in family law, when a case gets closed, and reopened and closed, and there's modifications that are filed, we have to be super aware, are the cases coded correctly with the right OCA to trigger the correct report. And therein lies my challenge as a VA analyst. And it's not just me exclusive, I mean, this affects Nicole, it affects so that's it with my budget. Any questions? And thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Would you like to go? Alright, County Clerk, Mr. Tanner. Go ahead.
So the only increase, outside of from the, salaries, would be the machine and equipment rental. We upgraded our machine this year to a color copier, because of all that paper that Michelle's talking about. The other signatures, the way the seal is done. So those are the things that we have to email to the attorneys, and we do still make paper copies in probate, but I think that we are probably maybe looking at, doing it all electronic. It's just a comfort zone for me. I am one of those paper people, but I do see the necessity of getting rid of it. We are currently working on the, back scanning. So our system now, it used to, when I started, it was 93 forward, and we're currently at 88. That's when we get getting that stuff in the computer. And that's just something that we do whenever we have a chance. Trying to do it in-house because the cost is so high for companies to come in, get our books, scan them, index them. I mean, the project I did 4 years ago was $50,000, and it's only been like 2.5 years.
And you let somebody else in your record.
Yes, and then that takes the time, but once we get those scanned and indexed, we can stop what we're doing and verify that they did it correctly, indexed it correctly. So, I'm just like, why are we doing this if we just do it ourselves? I don't know what the best way to do it, but right now we're doing, my part-timer is doing the probate. And so we're trying to get as much of those old cases into our system. So that's what she's doing at the moment. So that was really, the only other increase that I'm asking is for, my clerk wanted me to move to a clerk too. She has been here for 5 years, she's still at a clerking position, but she's currently doing the same thing as my clerk 2 position. I mean, there's nothing that my clerk 2 position is doing over what my 1 is. I do still have a clerk 1, and she's still qualified as a clerk 1, but she's also the one I requested to be moved up to clerk 2 is my Spanish speaking. It was not addressed in that last salary survey, and I think it needs to be. I mean, she is our link to communicate with Spanish speaking people. She also very graciously goes to other offices and translates. I know she translates a lot for the bailiffs out here. She has to. She was doing weddings for Justin when he was down here. So, I mean, I have given her she decides if she wants to do that or not. And she has continued to do it, even though she's not getting compensated for it. I know that a few of the bailiffs had requested it last year, because they know they use her quite often. So that's the only thing, I just think she needs to be compensated, especially since there's other Spanish-speaking people in Kent that do get compensated for that.
I wonder, getting out of the skis here a little bit, but I wonder if it's simple in the not too distant future, there may be an AI solution to records.
Will not be. Very well.
What that would look like for how to integrate, so I don't know really much about it, but sure, it can take a load off of you, take a load off Marshall.
I know we've used Google Translate a lot, when she was been on vacation or whatever. We tapped it into Google Translate and it'll help for us.
Not the best, but it can get.
Yeah.
I do know that Miss Eubank has, some Spanish-speaking employees, and she's, asked them not to translate anymore due to the stop of work within her own office. That they aren't compensated for it, and that they have to stop in the middle of whatever they're doing, case research and all, go do the translation and then go back.
Yeah, Judy does not, she doesn't know what it's for. And she.
Well, that's the other thing that you're kind of worried about. You don't want to send somebody that's not a certified legal translator in the courtroom, and then sticky.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she did it a little bit in the JP's office, but she was very uncomfortable doing that. She was, so I absolutely love it.
When you get in the legal world, there's a lot of legal language that isn't used in daily conversation in any language, much less a different one than ours. So,
But she does do a lot of translating in our office. I mean, that's probably 40% of her job.
I know the sheriff's office has a Spanish stipend for any officers.
Deputies and office personnel.
Something about.
So that's basically it in a
So
nutshell.
your contract services,
But
you're
it's
still
not,
anticipating,
not really sure. I just know that with this color copier, it is a little bit more expensive. But we are saving on the back end as far as the toner that we were purchasing for the color copier that we were using. We're not having to buy that anymore. So I'm hoping that it'll wash out. I just put an extra $300 in there for the overages that I didn't realize it. We were paying that much for the overages. I mean, I thought we could get it all into but anyway, that's just the anticipation that I see is about $300 more. My special budgets, there's special.
Okay, you're talking about.
So I have, yes.
2,300, or 230, I'm sorry, 230 CC records.
yeah, the operating expenses, contract services, 2025.
Oh, is that already on this one?
Yeah, it's on her tab, it's just the next page.
Okay.
Alright.
I need that. I just want to look at this.
But you've got it in your current budget now, right?
What?
100,000?
Yes. So I just finished the project with, upgrading my credit card system. So we were using a third party to do our credit card system.
So those invoices haven't hit yet.
No, but it's not gonna be 100,000. The next project that I hope to get out of this year's budget is not property fraud. I know it's a growing concern for a lot of the constituents that there's property fraud out there. And there's nothing that we can really do about it. I mean, we have our requirements for recording, we look for those requirements. If they follow, you know, those requirements, we have to record it. But there's not a system out there that can tell the public that, or tell us at the time of recording that this is not their property to sell.
It's not legit.
But the software that I'm looking at, and it's, a lot of counties are going to this, what it will do is, if the public signs up for it, it will notify them if something has been recorded in our office under their name.
So it's a third party contract, like the whole title office.
There are third parties, Tyler does have their own property fraud software, which is who we use, is Tyler.
Yeah, I keep getting sent to my own property in Lincoln County, and I want to sell it, I said, sure. Send me the money.
So I heard that there's pros and cons to this. I mean, if your name is John Smith, you know, you might get phone calls that this isn't your property, but you just have to kind of do your research on it, but it's all that's out there. To let people know that something is being recorded under your name, you might want to. It doesn't stop it from being recorded, but at least it notifies them. So, I don't know that we've had a big issue here in Hill County, but it's growing. And so I just want to be prepared. And so we have had some citizens ask me if we're going to do it, and I do plan on doing it. I want to do it in this year's budget. And then the rest of that money is what we use to do the project with the upgrading and the putting all of the back data into the system.
So your credit card upgrade that you did will eat up how much of that $100,000?
Oh, no, that was a small project.
Huh?
That was a small project. The preservation part,
That's
that's the big one.
those invoices just had to hit this year's budget.
No.
So you may or may not have money to roll over into.
Oh, yeah, there will be some of that $100,000 rollover.
These funds have a lot of money in them, I don't know on the last receipts and disbursements, but, these funds have ample money. She won't be taking any from the general fund. They're solely funded by fees she collects.
I was questioning whether she'd have funds to roll over in extra.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like.
But yeah,
But you can't roll it over.
well, it just stays in.
Yes, those special funds roll over,
Yeah,
the
she's
court
saying.
collections that are used, can only be used for certain things, they roll over.
That's one of them.
Yeah, just.
Can't move it to
Can't move it to the commissioner fund.
couldn't put it, that's where it was.
I know where it's
Sorry. You know, we used our records management money to fund the project down at the support service, all of that stuff in there, with that money. So it's nice to have, but like when we start preserving books, which I've done some, we're talking $45,000 a book. It's so expensive. But those are the books that are permanent, we have to keep on forever. I have a lot of, that's more, yeah, that's like the paper cases and stuff. My books are permanent forever. I can never get rid of my books. All of those deed record books. Now, we don't print books anymore, so that was a huge savings. Because those books are high dollar. But everything is on the computer now, so we just can't ever get rid of those books. And we have a lot of books in the annex center. So now they want us to preserve them so that they will last a lifetime. We have a lot that are in need of some major. Well, the ones that were in the.
They're neat to look at.
Oh, yeah.
It's super cool to look at. Yeah.
The ones that were in the basement over here, unfortunately, are And we're getting more and more open records requests for all of our digitized. They want a full digitized copy of all of our records.
Like Texas file people and.
And what they do,
Online record search,
what they do with it is
sell it.
sell it.
You can get it for free, right?
I mean, and we only have we have to go by the Attorney General and what they tell us that we can sell it for. And it's so
Pennies on the dollar.
I mean,
Yeah.
we just got one for 35 years of data, and I only could charge him a little over $500.
For the whole 35.
Whole thing.
Something wrong with that picture.
She was nice about it. She was nice about it.
It takes everything in me to be nice about it, because I just feel like that's.
Your babies.
It is, and we charge people that come in here $1 per copy, but that's paper copy. Some people still want those paper copies. But electronically, we can't charge that much. And we have about 11 accounts where they get everything. I mean, they get uploads every day. Title companies, your other nice folks that sell it. But what they wanna charge.
Turn that into a revenue generator.
It is, and it probably has affected our revenue. So anyway. And then the other one was, just the other budget is what pays for our software.
Gotcha.
And part-time.
Thank you very much. Any questions? No questions? Alright. I guess it's to us, huh? If we wanna keep rolling. Do we need a break? No. Alright. I'll go ahead with mine, since I'm on days. County judge. Be 100, 101.
You want 100?
No, that's not mine. That's not mine. As far as this budget, I've asked for nothing to change. And the only thing I did ask to change was the supply line item by $900. I gotta buy a new shredder this year. The one in there was created the same year I was, so we need to get a new one. The whole courthouse in here when we run it. But that's the only change. I believe Judge Lewis has done a great job with this budget. It's pretty bare bones. There's nothing. I've got one employee, and we're gonna address, I guess, salary at some point in this conversation for all the employees. So I didn't even fill that out yet. Mostly looking right now at operating expenses. So that's the only change that I made there. The training and mileage, I didn't make a change, even though I'm obviously gonna have to require a lot more training than Judge Lewis generally did annually. But we do have a probate training line item, so yeah, and that supplements some of our training, both of ours. So I don't really think I need to change it. I do always send my staff to training. That's been ever since you guys were giving me training funds as a JP. I've always sent my staff to training because they keep me out of trouble. And so probably the majority of that training budget is going to go to my staff, and then the other will go to my probate training. So all in all, I don't really have much of a change. I don't know if we want to go through some of the other general funds now, or we want to wait till later. Do you have a preference, Ms. Susan? As far as like the courthouse maintenance and those things.
Mr. Holmes?
Are you here? Yeah.
I can.
We can go through the courthouse too, or
Well, that's non-departmental, government fund?
well, that's the 1401 in the courthouse.
Hold on.
That's the one right after Chrissy's. Where we had courthouse security there. Okay,
I was looking at non-departmental.
Okay.
I mean, we gotta go through more.
Sure.
Let's do that. Non-departmental, when we tap into non-departmental, it's gonna be 105, 1103. So, in this budget, are we? In this budget was the overtime contingencies that we had, from last year that we put aside because we knew the sheriff's office was gonna run up some overtime contingencies on us. Obviously, we haven't paid anything out of that yet, because we're waiting until the end of the year to do so, the end of the fiscal year.
We have moved money out of there, I think we haven't to the sheriff's budget, I'd have to look at last year. But probably that money will just be moved to the departments that have the overtime.
Okay. So that's what I'm proposing is on this budget, and this non-departmental, to basically zero that out and apply, budget it correctly to the offices that are gonna do, for overtime. I do have some, the sheriff is doing due diligence to not rack up overtime as we've seen in the past. And I think we've seen a wide reduction in overtime, coming out of the sheriff's office. The only department, the only division within the SO, I think, that is routinely running on overtime is gonna be your dispatch. And that's because there's not enough of them. And it's not one that you can not have. So, we're gonna try to remedy that as well, and it's kind of like that cycle where it's, not an unforeseen expense, we can budget it correctly. So the overtime contingency was at 169,397, that will be zeroed out in this upcoming budget, and those funds will be applied properly. We have the telemedicine, proposed that we're gonna unchange that, because I haven't seen a change in that cost. Oh, there is a change, oh, it is, okay.
I think we should look at canceling that, it's underutilized, costs $2,000 a month.
Do we have to?
No, so Norman MD was part of our health insurance, curative, but they canceled that program, and I knew about that before we even selected curative. So we had Help MD as a backup because we weren't sure what was going to happen.
Right.
And it's been over a year that we've had that, so we've got some history. Help MD's really not utilized that much. I mean, most people just go to the urgent care for walk-ins if they need something.
With our insurance now, and you can walk in for nothing.
I mean, sometimes we have 5 people that use that service. We pay $10 per employee per month.
What do you guys think?
Keep our current patrons, do it.
Our current insurance?
Well, we only look at health medicine again,
Right.
in another year, bring it back.
I think the only difference in that was something if there were part-time employees or if there were people in the family that weren't covered on the insurance, you could still use it, but still, it's very, very underutilized.
We're not using it, it'd be a different choice.
Right.
No, we're not in a contract either with them.
So we can
It's not-
cancel
it's not-
that.
we can cancel it anytime.
All right, we'll move down to the next line, purchase professional services. I do not know what that's utilized for, Sue.
That is, we pay a service fee on we have grant funds called SCAP, State Criminal Assistance Program, I believe that's what. Anyway, justice benefits, they put together the information to file for that grant for us, so we pay them a 20% fee. So that's only about $2,500 or $3,000 of that. Our audit comes out of that. Our, we have paid some on the, just kind of a placeholder where we've had Mr. Dixon do some things on these, abatement projects, but that usually gets reimbursed. I think Justin put some extra money in there, because if I was to leave last year, in the current year, we were hoping to provide 6 months of training, doubling my position for the new person. However, we haven't done that, and then it didn't get into my budget. My budget has some issues for the current year, but, trying to think what else. The audit is our big
I
thing.
would imagine
Oh, we also every year have to pay this firm, Dan's, Koff, and Markowitz, to do we bring it before you, it's our OPEB report that we have to have for our audit, and that's $3,000 to $6,000 a year. And, we have an outside legal expense that we have to pay, comes out of that.
Alright. Do you see any other numbers in that operating expense line item that you'd like to address, Mr.?
Well, I think that purchase professional can come down. I can come back to you with a number, I don't know what it should be. The statement of facts, we just had one for $5,000. I would think we probably want to leave that at the 20,000. That it was budgeted for this year. It's just, we pay the court reporters, for them to reproduce the record, the voice record, you know, that's translated to text for these cases, and we've had quite a few appeal cases. Anyway, I think 20,000 would be a good number on that. That Loud case was appealed. I'm sure we'll have to have a transcript of that. You know, I don't see that going down. The grant expenditure line, that is the main, we don't really budget for our grants because we don't know what we're gonna get usually when the year starts, but this particular amount of the 18,000 is the Vine, which is a flow-through grant. We get money from the state for APRIS, it's the victim notification system, and the bills are like $4,600 or $4,700. The state pays us, so we have a grant revenue line and then a grant expenditure line of the same. Now, if we get a grant during the year, we're gonna certify the revenue to income and add those expenses and certify them to expense. So, this hazard mitigation grant that Tom's working on, I don't know if we'll know the figures for that before the budget's put to bed. If we don't, then we'll certify the revenue we get from the state. We probably need to figure out 25%. I think we're on the hook for 25% of that one. I need to check with Tom of the hazard mitigation. I don't recall, seemed like the prior year, because we're economically disadvantaged county, they covered more of that, but I believe, and I could be wrong, that we might be on the hook 75% for that grant that we have. So that's something I'll look into on that. The dues and memberships, that's Hot Dog, we paid $7,354 today. Those are with TAC. They bill us, I know, at least $4,000 a year, y'all are billed. And we just pay for it out of that line. And then we have Hot Dog, we have a dues to them, that's about $2,300. What else? I don't know. Oh, we pay NACO, we have NACO dues, so, that one also probably will not go down, so probably at least 7,500 on that one.
I know you're also, the generator grant that we applied for, we're 25% of that.
On the generators, okay. Is Tom doing that one?
You might reach out to Mr. Jackson.
Or Chris, okay. Okay. The, so I see statement of facts, we probably need to get back to 20. And the grant, we're unsure of. The bonds and insurance, we have our public officials liability. Let's see. Christie, I forwarded it to your email. If you could print it, it might be easier to get off in my phone, but I have it right here, what we had to pay this year. Let's see. Your glasses, you're supposed to use them, but I have to take them off. Okay, this year for non-departmental, the bill was $33,422. So that's our part of the public officials liability. We have, I don't know, several of them. I don't know if that's the cybersecurity is probably in that.
No, we just recently talked.
That we just recently renewed, whatever we just renewed. So we're gonna wanna go, and I had told the others, so I would probably go 36,000 to add 10%, because our insurance went up atrociously this year. Legal notices, 4,500 is probably fine. You know, that's probably gonna go down a little bit since they're raising the purchasing limit to 100,000 effective September the 1st, so you probably could, you know, it's just anybody's game, maybe put it 4,000, you know, it's just unknown. And then the bank charges, let's see, thank you. Oh, gee, thank you, Christie. On this printout, this is what the insurance that we just paid, that was including our property liability, law enforcement liability, and all of those. The first column under amount, that's the amount that was paid for each budget. It's a 2-page report. Most of the road and bridges on the second page. So that's what was paid out to the respective departments this year. And then what you can expect an increase or next year. Probably more so on the buildings, because we do have some significant hail damage that I forwarded to Shane. I forgot if it was 750,000 or 950,000, so we're gonna have to think about how we're gonna budget those funds as well for next year. And we had significant hail damage to the vehicles, so you know they're gonna wanna recoup that money a little bit. So, property insurance, my goodness, for our church, we're considering not even having insurances, so expensive. And the buildings are all priced at such a high value, you know. I don't know, insurance is getting expensive. rate goes down, our bank service charges will go up.
I know the late fees are very, very minimal this season, and I do a really good job of paying our bills very timely to avoid those late fees, because that's what we're on anyway.
Yeah, Rachel, that's really good. So, 2,000, put something in there for that for sure. Supplies, trying to think what's getting charged there. There was a suggestion last year that we add a line for Christmas decorations as to if y'all think some are needed. I think David had suggested that last year. If y'all want that in there, otherwise it comes out of miscellaneous.
Instead of that supply, Susan, is our postage machine in the basement for supplies, the running, supply needs, the tape.
True, yeah. I don't know, we've used $549. Probably could go down to 1,000 or 900. The machine and equipment rental, as Rachel said, that is the postage machine. Here in the basement, that's, the postage is divided up monthly. Rachel gives those figures. The miscellaneous, that is has been used some for the Christmas party, service awards that are awarded at that time. I think some other things go into that, not too much. Looks like 20,000 is probably an overkill number. And most of that cost, it's looking, goodness, the prior years were expensive. I'm not sure what some of those were. I'd say let's go down to $7,500, I think. Because if you have your contingency, as we get into the revenue numbers, we're gonna have something in contingency, so we just have a big number here.
Yes, sir.
And then capital outlay, I don't know what you were thinking on that one. I have no idea. I don't know what we're gonna be out on the AgriLife building and any new projects we're looking at, what we're purchasing. I don't know that you and the commissioners and maybe David, I don't know what all's been looking at. I mean, the capital outlay might be where we're gonna budget some of the insurance money for what needs to be fixed. I think Judge Lewis mentioned the roof on the courthouse. I don't know if they looked at that at all.
I've got a gentleman that's working with the company, they did the support services building roof, and they're not only the manufacturer of the product that put on it, but they're also the installer. So, if we have to sue them, it's only one person. There's one person responsible, there's no blame games on this one. They can't put fingers at the other guy. They have a program where they enter all the roofs in our county that we own, and they tell you, hey, this roof life expectancy is 10 years, we need to start planning this, out, or hey, we can just repair this roof, it's not a big deal. He's giving me a finder on the majority of roofs. I don't think he went to any of y'all's precincts. He went to your precinct. The Judge Tom's. Yeah, he went to the Judge Tom's building because they have water coming in. It's not like a roof. So he's given us kind of a schedule that we can look at. I'll get it, maybe we can get it together tomorrow for you guys. And it shows kind of the maintenance for the roofs over 15 to 20 year period. So it's not gonna be a surprise when we're like, this roof needs to be repaired. We'll have it on our radar, we can budget for it in the taxes, JPO and insurance and utilities.
We pay for mowing and we pay for certain, we're supposed to provide the facilities for adult probation and juvenile probation, so we pick up the utility bills. For adult probation, that's their copiers. For juvenile probation, it's mainly mowing, telephone. Something else, I don't know, anyway, adds up to about $10,000. Cause their utilities is paid through the co-op, I should have asked about Tina that. She was here.
Appraisals.
Okay, that number, I'm sure is too low, because they go up on this.
Explain the line item for me.
Explain the what?
The line item,
The appraisal district bills us for,
not appraisals, the appraisal district.
the appraisals is what the appraisal district bills us for appraising all the property for the county. And if we absorb a percentage of their budget, they're supposed to give us a budget every year of what they're, gonna be, and so us.
And we got that, we don't know what that is.
No,
So, the appraisal district is supposed to come and present a budget to the court. I have found one in an email. But there's not been any appraisal district budget presented to this body.
Can we not deny that?
You should.
so what the public is paying taxes on, and we're paying them for it.
You know, we pay a percentage of their budget,
Percentage of
the
their
schools
budget.
charge it, everybody, the city pays them, everybody they're doing appraisals for, countywide gets charged a piece of their budget.
They're charging us for taxing them.
Well, they're charging us for appraising all counties properties.
All the county property. In the city.
Not just county.
All the
all the property in the county.
All the property
In the city, in the town.
Well, that's great, since we get 30% of the tax base. Or less.
Think about that.
That's what
They
I'm
did
saying.
come to us when they did that addition, you know, they did come to us when they did that, but I don't recall them being here since then.
But the way that I understand the code, they're supposed to present it to the commissioner's court. I do have an email that's in the old county judge email address box. That is their budget. But I don't believe, I believe they should come to present it. So I'll make that request.
We pay it quarterly,
If you
and all
did,
kinds of
I always seen that. I knew it. Praise for that.
So, the only other line items I see after that, that have any funds in them are Court of Appeals, judges, line item, and that's just a case, isn't it?
They bill us for that, and we pay it the first thing after the fiscal year, so 2,000 looks right.
Okay.
And contingencies, I mean, we've put as much as 500,000, 200,000. It's been a county judge call as to costs go up, I did, send out a deal on the court dispute resolution, if there was a way we could utilize those funds. There's also, that's Fund 228, there's also Fund 226. I guess Nicole and Marshall both collect on those. One is called that Language Access Fund, so y'all were talking about this need for interpreters, and those costs could be possibly paid out of that rather than jury. And then the dispute resolution, I'm not sure what the criteria, if that's mediation, I'm not sure. Since I'm not an attorney, I don't know what this could be used for, but I forwarded some information on that. I would say the jury's gonna need at least $350,000, maybe more. That's pretty, given the, we added to the road and bridge, indigent health, MSHA funds, we'll probably have, this current year, we transferred, to General Road and Bridge. Let's see, we had budgeted 25,000, but, indigent health, put back to see what they budgeted. We haven't transferred all the money from indigent health because their expenses are running higher. This year, out of indigent health, we budgeted $180,000 to General Road and Bridge, so that plus the $35,000 that's coming out of general. Currently, we have budgeted that $215,000 to General Road and Bridge. From indigent health, we budgeted $100,000 to general fund, and indigent health was going to transfer $1,000 to each of the precincts. I think I've transferred some of the General Road and Bridge money, but I haven't transferred to the precincts and to the county until we get closer to the end of the year to see if those funds are indeed available. Just because it says that, it's not automatic.
It'll make sense to wait till the end of transfer, basically.
Well, if we spend all the money on the indigent health, we don't have the money for, that's what the priority of the money is for, so. And I don't know what, Tina was asking for, on juvenile, we did budget $192,500, but if they don't end up needing that money, we haven't been transferring it. If they, if they didn't end up needing it, we're not transferring it. If they need the money, of course, we'll transfer it.
Mr. Holcomb, you want to go ahead? Or do we need a break? Jump time, because, if we want a break, let's take a break, we can come back. Okay. Maybe run through some of the commissioner's notes. 10-minute break? All right, 10-minute break, we'll be in recess.
Okay, I've got to stop this because I need to go take a call real quick.